This is Emma Ghaffari, and welcome to Weekly World Climate Change News. The recurrence of the topic of climate change in the United Nations General Assembly last week signals the urgency of the matter and the need to act on it before it is too late. Many vulnerable countries, in threat of the rising sea levels, have called for immediate action towards climate change. This highlights the terrifying fact that many countries have started to feel the pinch of the varied devastating impacts. Moreover, the calls to eradicate social ills in the most environmentally friendly way by 2030 is another thing in the minds of the world leaders. The calls for multilateralism by the majority of the countries to counter inequality and combat the issue of climate change together would bring about a bigger impact, sparking hopes for immediate action. The UNDP claims that 13 million tons of plastic ends up in the ocean, leading marine plastic pollution to be called one of the biggest environmental challenges of our time. As such, an animation studio, Kursgesat, has teamed up with UN Environment to set a back-to-school plastic challenge in hopes to drastically reduce the use of single-use plastic amongst youths and schools and come up with the most innovative ways to combat the plastic situation. Moreover, on top of finding ways to limit single-use plastic in schools, the collaboration aims to spread awareness on the marine plastic pollution and how it can be eliminated with the non-use of single-use plastic. This is in hope that the youth will be able to see the extent of the damage done by plastic. The US Department of the Interior recently released a final rule that reverses Obama-era restrictions on methane emissions from oil and gas operations. Had the 2016 methane waste rule been finalized, it would have avoided nearly 170,000 tons of methane emissions annually and saved the US between $115 and $188 million per year, in addition to reaching emissions targets under the Paris Agreement. The rate of methane leaks in the US is, however, much higher than previously hoped. The animal consumption industry has a carbon footprint that rivals that of the transportation sector. Yet, in the face of growing food demands, meat consumption remains a norm. The Champions of the Earth awardees in the Science and Innovation category, however, may have a compromise. Both Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat are engaged in creating plant-based meat and thus reducing the natural resources wasted on commercial animals. Both awardees continue to work independently to create meat indistinguishable from the real thing and hope to generate awareness about the possibility of sustainable food practices. Africa is contributing to the battle against climate change. For the past decade, agencies like D-Light are selling everything solar-powered, from lanterns to TVs, enabling a new generation of Africans to grow with the ability to wield power instead of waiting for it to come through the wires. The access to cheap, sustainable energy may be the factor that finally allows the continent to catch up with the rest of the world after centuries of inequality. Human activity has led to the reduction of the Atlantic forest and to an overwhelming biodiversity loss. The effects of 500 years of human intervention are revealed in a study by the University of East Anglia. A conservation action plan has become necessary to save the area from being affected. California is the second state in the US to commit to using carbon-free energy by 2045. The governor of California signed a new law on the use of clean energy a few days to hosting the Global Climate Action Summit and setting it against Mr. Trump, who pulled the USA out of the Paris Agreement last year. All energy will come from carbon-free or renewable sources in the state towards zero carbon emissions. Scientists have noted that the eternal snow in the Swiss Alps is melting faster than it was 2 decades ago. This could spell dire consequences, as it could spark more than just a drastic decline, or worse, an outright abandonment of the skiing tourism, water supply being threatened. Satellite images of the Alps, which revealed the loss of snow cover through the years, mean that the snow-free area on the Alps is expanding. This could have flood risks, as the snow is melting at a very fast rate. The snow is the main supply for drinking water and agriculture for the Swiss. Only time will tell how long the melting will last. The killer heat will be here to stay if no efforts are made to stop global warming. Researchers say that heat-related death figures will climb in the coming years if the global temperature increases more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. Moreover, the death resulting from bushfires will double as the heat could spark fiercer fires, and smoke inhalation will become a major issue. In addition, greater heat coupled with high humidity will be a double health hazard too. It is said that if nothing is done by 2100, 3/4 of humanity will be fighting for their lives against heat waves. A study presented at the European Respiratory Society International Congress in Paris examined macrophage cells from the placentas of 5 women and detected small black particles among the placental macrophages. The tiny carbon particles appeared similar to ones found in lung macrophages exposed to air pollutants, and show the first evidence that inhaled fossil fuel particles can move from the lungs into the bloodstream and then into the placenta, suggesting a possible mechanism of how babies are affected by pollution, and a strict need of policies for cleaner air to reduce the impact of pollution onto health worldwide is needed. I'm Emma Ghaffari, and we hope you join us next week on Weekly World Climate Change News.